Good evening, everyone. We have a treat for you. Seriously, a Bailey's treat. Tonight is all about indulging for the holidays. It's a little bit before, but that's okay. Let's get started. For those of us here in New Hampshire and in New England, we got a ton of snow, so it's a perfect night for a little bit of indulgence. So I am going to turn things over to the wonderful ladies of Bailey's who we have on the line tonight, Dion and Noelle. So Dion, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Carol. And I hope you guys are staying safe, staying warm wherever you are in this country. So I just want to say again, welcome. My name is Dion. I'm joining you live from Washington, D.C. And we have with us Noelle, who is joining us live from the Big Apple, NYC. She is going to tell you everything about Bailey's, from the brand history to the different variants. And she's also going to share how we can use Bailey's in our different treats that we have tonight. So if you have any questions, I want you to drop them in the chat. I will be looking out for them. Anything at all about Bailey's, about cocktails in general. So without further ado, I introduce you to Noelle.
Thank you so much, Dion. Yes, I want to just reiterate what everyone's already said. Welcome. I too am in a winter wonderland, not so bad as some of you on the line, but welcome once again. As Caroline said, tonight is all about treating yourself with Bailey's, and we're going to dive into that. I'm excited to further you along on different ways that you can treat yourself using Bailey's, because who doesn't like to treat themselves? We're going to get started with just a little bit of history. We're going to tell you about the good stuff behind the good stuff, a little of the roots and the heritage before we move on to the product lineup, and also finish it off with some great treats that you can do at home, or maybe you're going to do them along with me. And then I believe we have some trivia and some great prizes at the end. So for those of you who are a little less familiar with Bailey's, it began in 1974 in one of my most favorite places to visit, which is Dublin, Ireland. If you've never been there, when the world is back to being the world that we know, definitely go to Ireland, go to Dublin. It's beautiful, it's lush, it's green. Yes, it may rain a lot, but it's okay because it's just a wonderful, wonderful place. Now, while Bailey's was launched in 1974, really it was a few years in the making. David Dand, who is known as the godfather of Bailey's, hint, hint, wink, 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 nudge, nudge, you might want to write that down, David Dand, the godfather of Bailey's, he wanted to bring the world something that would be Irish made and that included things that are quote unquote Ireland is respected internationally for. It was really, really important to him, which is surprising because then there were two men who were not Irish, who were predominantly responsible for coming up with Bailey's recipe. And that was David Gluckman, who I believe was from South Africa, and Hugh Reed Seymour Davies, who was an Englishman. And they would come up with the idea that would later be formed into what we know as Bailey's today. Now, that idea took them, I kid you not, about 30 seconds. Kid you not, they had this idea. They wanted to put whiskey with cream. Great idea. Now, the execution, that took a little bit longer because sure, anyone can put whiskey with some milk. And in fact, most of us, when we think of Bailey's, we think of Irish coffee, which is whiskey and milk and a little bit of sugar. So that's where they started. They started with some Jameson whiskey and some cream. And it's not a secret when I tell you that it was not very good. So they went back to the store and they got some sugar and they added some sugar and it started to get better. And they thought, oh, we're onto something. Okay, but we want it to be special. We want it to be luxurious, but it was still missing something. So they went back down to their local store and they looked around the shelves and then they found the one thing that, in my opinion, could make almost anything special and luscious and spectacular. And that is Cadbury's powdered drinking chocolate. That's right. Bailey's is whiskey and it's cream and it's chocolate. And of course, there are some other flavors in there, but it's just a marriage made in Ireland heaven. It has the most delicious ingredients, rich dairy cream, the finest whiskey, delicious chocolate, and they were well on their way to creating something that is unashamedly delicious And it's a blend that would become the #1 liqueur in the world. To this day, since 1974, every single drop of cream that is in Bailey's original Irish cream, is supplied from local Irish family farms. So this is really, really special to Ireland, and we're glad to bring it all to you. Now, the Bailey's cows spend about 300 days out of the year grazing outside. These cows have the most amazing life. Luscious green pastures. In fact, they're so beautiful that they made them onto the Bailey's bottle. Not the cows, the pastures, as you can see. It's just such a beautiful place. These cows have the best life. And the production facility, when they get the milk and the milk goes to the production facility within 24 hours. So everything is super fresh. Talk about farm to table. There's no preservatives in Bailey's. In fact, most people want to know, does Bailey's have to go in the refrigerator? No, it does not. You don't want to leave it in your hot car. There are temperatures you want to stick between, but for the most part, you can leave Bailey's on your shelf. Now, I happen to like it in my refrigerator. I like it a little chilled, and that's fine too. But the whiskey works with the cream, and it preserves it in such a way that you don't need to refrigerate it, and there are no preservatives needed. It is delicious. Dion, I think we have a picture of the cows. Oh my gosh, there they are. It's one of my favorite parts about Bailey's is the cows. I mean, these cows have the best life. They're dairy cows. So, I just, maybe in my next life, I'll be lucky enough to be a Bailey's dairy cow and live the dream. So we're going to move on to the second half of our program. But before we get into it, if you've got some Bailey's Irish cream in front of you, let's do a little tasting. I think it's so important that before you start putting any liqueur or liquor or spirit with other things, that you know what you're working with, right? And so I always encourage you to make it your own. And this is what this is all about, treating yourself. But I'm going to go ahead and do a little tasting with you, and I'm going to walk you through it. And I have 4 favorite steps when I do this. And it's going to be that you pour, you swirl, you smell, and you sip, right? So here I've poured myself just a little bit of Bailey's, just for a taste. It could be out of your fridge. It could be over ice. If you don't like it, that is totally fine. This is your treat bar tonight. So you want to pour it. You want to give it a swirl. Let those flavors dance around a little. Let the air get into it. If you've got ice, the water is going to open it up just a little bit. And then my favorite part, you want to nose it. I'm going to bring it up to your nose. Oh my gosh, give it a good smell. First, you're going to get hit with vanilla, maybe a little chocolate, and of course, the whiskey, which is amazing. And then go ahead and take a sip. I'm used to a smaller glass. It took me a while. Sorry about that. But oh my gosh, this Bailey's, it's so velvety and it's so rich. I mean, you can see the way it coats the glass. It's just, you get that vanilla and the cocoa up front. It finishes with the warmness of that whiskey. And it's just one of my all-time favorites. I mean, I've been in the spirits industry for a long time. I've tasted a lot of things, and Bailey's, I mean, it's always been a staple in our house growing up, but it's just amazing and I love it. And you can drink it neat, but there are lots of other things that you can also do with it. One of which is, Dion has put on the screen for us already. It is the Bailey's latte. You can certainly use regular Bailey's, the Bailey's original, to make that, the good old G, I like to call it. We also have the Bailey's apple pie, which is another variety. Again, if you get the Bailey's apple pie, try a little bit neat. Don't be afraid of it. Just pour a little bit, smell it, put some ice, try it, see those flavors, see how they dance around. They might give you ideas. Like this one, you can definitely mix it with chai tea. We are big chai drinkers in our house, so this is another one that you can try. If you're not jotting these down or taking screenshots, don't freak out. We'll send these to you later, okay? Because I know you want all of this. Another favorite in a recent collaboration is the red velvet cupcake. Now, this Bailey's started as a collaboration with Georgetown Cupcakes, which, Dion, you're down in DC. Hello.
Listen, I would if it was warmer, but I am not standing in those lines. Okay. There is always a line when you go to Georgetown Cupcakes. So I will have to try to go in the middle of the day when everyone is working, and grab my cupcake and my Bailey's so I can have a treat to myself.
I love it. Well, you have to, because I have another friend who describes the Bailey's red velvet cupcake as drinking a hug. So that's definitely something. And it's so funny. I too have been to the Georgetown cupcakes by you. And I think we had a Georgetown cupcake in New York City, and there's never a line. And I'm always like, I feel like this is weird. Like there should be a line, like you should have to pay your dues to get these cupcakes. But I also feel like, are they exactly the same if you're not in Georgetown? So anyway, you definitely want to try the red velvet cupcake. It is spectacular. You can try the hot chocolate at home. It's definitely a favorite. And we also have one of my newest favorites, which is the Bailey's strawberries and cream. Now, this is a great recipe for sure. And a little variation on this recipe, the one on the screen is for the strawberries and cream colada, which is excellent, especially if you're someone who likes a refreshing dessert, maybe, or something that's sweet but kind of feels a little healthy. I'm like that, especially if I've like just come from a workout, maybe, or shoveling snow. You want something that is refreshing and fun. And then a friend recently told me about a great variation on this one. If you don't have these ingredients at home, don't fret about it. Get your Bailey's strawberries and cream, mix it with a little bit of strawberry jam or preserves, just like a tablespoon. Also, coconut milk, regular milk, almond milk, whatever you have in your house. Throw in some ice and then stick it in the blender. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. If you have fresh strawberries at home, go ahead and throw them in. You trust me, whatever you do, you're not going to go wrong. It's going to be heaven in a glass. One thing that I really, really, truly love about Bailey's is that the limitations are self-imposed. And what I mean by that is the world is your treat bar. So whatever you have in your house, whatever traditions you have, whatever things that you love to have around, you can Bailify them. And I'm going to take you through a couple of my favorites. I'm going to show you what's on the screen, and I'm also going to Bailify them. I'm going to give you the Noel version, and it's going to be great. And I hope you're making along at home, or you'll at least try it in the weeks to come. Hopefully you get a little downtime over the holidays. I know 2020 has been an obscure year for all of us, to say the least. So let's start with the Bailey's hot chocolate. I think we have a slide for that. Yes, we do. Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. So you have all your ingredients right up there. Bailey's original Irish cream, hot chocolate powder, or cocoa powder, milk, whipped cream, lots of other stuff. So what I like to do when I make the hot chocolate, and let me tell you, when you're making this hot chocolate, you can get cocoa powder, but you also can use if you have the store packets that you get for the kids, maybe, because like, why should just the kids get hot chocolate? We deserve hot chocolate too. You can use the packets as well. You're just going to use less. And the key to making it extra special is that you want to make it with milk. So on your stovetop in a saucepan, you just want to heat about 3 ounces of milk and a teaspoon of the cocoa powder. Now, again, do that to taste. If you're using the store-bought, the prepackaged, it might be a little sweeter if you're using like hot chocolate mix. So you might want just a little less. You might like a little more. I don't know. My husband has a big sweet tooth. We put a lot of sweets in our chocolate. We put a lot of chocolate in. I'm just going to give mine a little bit of a stir because I made it just before we started because my stove is way on the other side of town here. So the key is the milk. You want to heat your chocolate, your cocoa powder with your milk over the stove. You don't need to boil it. You don't want to burn it. So just until it just starts to bubble and simmer, and then take it off and set it aside. What I like to do, I have some caramel sauce here, and you can use hot fudge. You can use any kind of sweet sauce that you like. And what I like to do is sort of drizzle some on the inside of my glass. And you don't have to be delicate or perfect with this. This is yours. It's going to be delicious. Just go ahead and get some on the inside of the glass. And then the next ingredient that we're going to add is our Bailey's. Now for this, we want to do 1.5 ounces. I use a jigger, which if you're making cocktails at home, you might have one of these. And if you don't fret. 1.5 ounces is actually the equivalent of, well, let me see. 1 tablespoon is equal to 1/2 ounce. So you can do the math. I don't do math that well, which is why my husband got me this jigger. So you want to get 1.5 ounces. He's to the side laughing and saying that is true. So you want 1.5 ounces of Bailey's, we have our mug with our caramel sauce that we already drizzled. I'm gonna pour that right in the bottom. I like to put my Baileys in first because then when you pour the other ingredients on top, everything sort of rises and seeps to the top. And I don't like to stir it. I like to let the ingredients just sort of dance on their own. So then once we have that, we have our Baileys in the bottom. I'm gonna take my hot cocoa milk and I'm just gonna pour it in. I mean, you could just dump it in if you want, but I don't know. I like to watch it swirl. All right. Now comes one of my most favorite parts. As a kid, I used to love when we would go to parties or like the ice cream places where it was like solely ice cream, and they would have all the toppings out. So as you can see, I've done that for you all tonight. I love to see all of the toppings. And the next thing I'm going to put in here is some whipped cream. Now I have Cabot whipped cream from a can from the grocery store, super easy. You of course can make your own fresh whipped cream at home. It's super easy. I just like the control that you have of putting it in the glass when you have it from the can, and I also like the sound. I know, it just takes me back to my childhood. But if you make fresh whipped cream, it's heavy cream, confectioner sugar. It's super easy. You can find the recipes online. A couple of tips for that. One is if you put your mixing bowl in the fridge for about 20 to 30 minutes before you make it, the coldness really helps solidify the texture of that cream. Also, if you're like me and you've been making gingerbread houses and you're making royal icing, just put a little, like, I think it's like a 3/4 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar in that, and it's going to help save it. It'll help make it last longer in the refrigerator. So you just go ahead and throw that in with your sugar. And also, you could put a little Baileys in it. You could put any flavor Baileys in it that you like.
That's my type of whipped cream right there.
Exactly. Okay. So, all right. So I don't have Dion's favorite at the moment, but she's going to settle for my Cabot in the interim. So then what I like to do is then just whip cream it up. Woo-wee. All the way up the glass. And let me tell you, if you can get glasses, like clear glass for your containers, we consume so much with our eyes, with all of our senses, and it just adds to it. My party store, they're always on sale. If you have the luxury to get some glass mugs, it's fun. And then I'm going to top this with some dark chocolate covered pretzels. I got these at Trader Joe's. I love them. They're a staple in our house. We buy them all year long. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I have these chocolate wafer sticks. I like to go ahead and put one of those in the side. It's not quite a straw. It looks like a straw, but it's made out of chocolate. So it's even better than a straw. And there we have our Bailey's hot chocolate. You also, since it is the season, can make it with a peppermint stick. So the peppermint stick will probably last a little bit longer than the wafer, which will start to dissolve. But I don't know if you're anything like me, it's not going to last long. So it's not going to dissolve that fast. You could also add sprinkles on top of that. There's so many variations. You should just Bailify it, make it your own, treat yourself, right? That's what it's all about. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next treat, which is the, thank you, I have a helper. He's getting all my cold ingredients for me, and he's amazing. Our next recipe is going to be the Bailey's affogato. Now, I'm a good Irish Italian girl from Brooklyn. Affogato is a spin on a traditional Italian dessert or treat, if you will. And traditionally, an affogato is made with a scoop of gelato, and then you drown it with espresso or a liqueur. So we have a spin on it for tonight. Thank you so much. I have a little bit of a spin on it for you. We're going to add cake. You can also, and we're going to add Baileys. You can also do variations of this, and I'll go through them. So let's do it the traditional way first, or the Baileys traditional way, if you will. So in my cup here, if you can see, I have a piece of chocolate chip loaf cake, which was from something else I'm repurposing, and it's amazing. All I did was take a slice of the cake, and I have this great cookie cutter. It's actually more like a cake cutter that you use for those like surprise cakes where there's a hole in the middle when you cut it open, all the stuff falls out. That would be a great Bailey's treat. So I just took one of these and I pressed it down on a slice of the cake, and it made a perfect cut. You don't have to have one of those. You can use a regular old knife. You can also just shove it in the bowl. It doesn't matter. It's going to be delicious. Um, Okay, so I put my cake in the bottom. And then the next step that we want to do is we want to combine a little bit of espresso with some Baileys. So in our house, I am a French press kind of person. So we have a French press. If you don't have espresso, it's okay. You can do like a cold brew from the store if you grab a can of that. You can also just do coffee if you have a Keurig, if you have just a Mr. Coffee Pot, any kind of coffee. The key to espresso is that it's a little bit stronger than coffee. So what I did was I just put more water to the coffee ratio. So that'll give you more of the espresso body, the espresso quality. So I'm just going to go ahead and press this down. And then what we want to do is combine 1.5 ounces of espresso. Again, coffee, it can be cold brew, anything that you can get your hands on. If you don't like coffee, I'm sure you could sub out something else. I happen to love coffee, so honestly, I didn't think that through. But I'm sure you could use, you want something a little bit heavier. I'm not sure that I would recommend a tea, but if you have a really rich, smoky, bold tea, I bet that actually would be pretty good. So we have 1.5 ounces of our espresso, and then we're also going to do 1.5 ounces of our Baileys. And I believe the recipe on the screen is for 2 of these. So if the specs seem a little off to you, that's why. It's just because it has us making 2, even though I'm going to just be making the 1 at the moment. Although then my husband and I are going to be fighting over it, but it's okay. I'll share with him. Okay, so I have mixed our espresso and our Baileys. And then the next step is going to be ice cream. It can be gelato, it could be ice cream, it could be frozen yogurt, it could be anything that you love. I recommend vanilla. However, if that's not your favorite flavor, if you don't like vanilla, please don't use vanilla. Use what you love, use what you have. So I have this pre-scooped. It's a little cold. I'm gonna go ahead, here we go, spoon. I'm gonna put some vanilla ice cream right on top of that cake. Now, remember how I told you I was gonna tell you some variations on the cake part? You can use cake. You can use brownies. Thank you so much. You can use Milano dark chocolate cookies. You can use leftover cinnamon rolls. You can use whatever you love, whatever you have. Just put it in the bottom of the bowl, top it with some ice cream. Then we're going to take our mixture and we are going to drizzle it over top. Oh my gosh, that is so good. You're gonna get it all in there. It's gonna melt the cream. It's gonna melt that ice cream. It's gonna start to dissolve all together, all those favorite flavors. Ooh, I should have put more ice cream. And then I like to top it with espresso, chocolate covered espresso beans, because really, why not have espresso with your espresso or your coffee? I just think that that's amazing. In fact, I'm just gonna sprinkle a whole bunch on. And that is a take on the affogato. Another thing that you can do, one more tip from me that I love. If you have time, earlier in the day, before you're gonna make these, put your cake in your bowl, take your espresso and your Baileys mixture, pour it over your cake and put it in the fridge. Or put it in the fridge overnight, a couple hours, whatever you have time for. That cake, cookie, whatever you have at the bottom is gonna soak up that Baileys and that espresso. It's gonna be so good. And then when you take it out, top it with ice cream. You could top it with Baileys again, I will not tell. And then whatever your favorite treats are, you just go ahead and you put them on top. You could do lots of peppermint bark out right now. One of my favorites, chocolate, peppermint bark, little mint. It's all just, it's amazing. It's your treat. We want you to treat yourselves with Baileys. So please, I invite you, I encourage you to make it your own, because that's the best part. So I think we have some trivia and we have some questions. And Carol Ann is going to tell us a bit about the Passport program.
Awesome. Thank you, Noelle. So let's talk about our Passport program a little bit, guys. So those of you who've been watching along with us as part of our 90 days program, you already know about the Passport. So before I tell everybody who hasn't attended an event yet, I'm going to tell you tonight's code word. So what are we drinking tonight? Baileys Irish Cream. Irish cream is your code word for tonight. So for those of you who may be just joining us for your first event tonight, welcome. We're excited to have you. We hope you're enjoying the treat bar. So this event is part of our 90 Days Around the World series. So tonight we are with Bailey's in sort of Ireland, sort of New York, sort of Washington, D.C. We're literally all over the place tonight because that's one of the great things about what's going on in the world right now. We're able to bring you events from all over the place, introduce you to brands who you might not have had a chance to meet before. So if you play along with our virtual passport program, you can earn points towards our Ultimate Home Bar sweepstakes. So the Ultimate Home Bar is basically a $2,500 gift card to our stores, plus a ton of awesome swag from all the brands that we've been having on for these events. We've got glassware, we've got branded Patagonia vest. I wish I could get the branded Patagonia vest and all kinds of awesome stuff. So please visit our website, 90daysaroundtheworld.com if you'd like to learn more and download your passport. It's an app that we use called Scavify. We used it over the summer too, if you played our scavenger hunt this summer. So we hope you'll play along and earn some points. And is it trivia time? Mark, what do you think? Should we give away some cool Bailey's prize packs?
I think we are ready to give some stuff away. I got to say, Noel, those cocktail / dessert recipes, I'm going to be heading upstairs after this and indulging in a little Bailey's myself. Very.
Oh, that makes me so happy. You deserve it.
Those look incredible. I do have to mention, you mentioned the Georgetown cupcakes, the world-renowned Georgetown cupcakes. A little bit of tidbit of information for you and Dion that the #1 Bailey's on-premise account in the country is located right here in Manchester, New Hampshire. Our very own Puritan back room is world-renowned for their mudslide recipes. They have a whole menu of many mudslides you can choose from, and their mating is Bailey's original Irish cream. So
right. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So that's.
I'm coming up. I'm coming to New Hampshire.
Unfortunately, they have a limit of 2. Trust me, I've tried to get 3 out of them once, but no, 2 is the limit. So that's it.
Is it per person? I'm going to bring my husband. It's going to be
there.
5.
You go. Yeah, you'll enjoy them. All right, so let's start off with a little bit of trivia. We got some great little Bailey's gift packs that the supplier and brokers have put together for you. Thank you to those guys. So the first question, Carol Ann's going to be scoping the chat box for who comes across with the answer first. The Bailey's story, what year did it begin?
Oh, we have a winner, and it is Christine.
Woo!
All right.
Very good.
Christine F. I'm going to put my email address in the chat. So if all of our winners want to email me, I'll be emailing you tomorrow anyway. But if you want to email me first with your mailing address, that works for me.
Are you sure I can't participate in this?
Don't worry, Dion. We know a few people. We'll get you some of your own prizes. So I got you, Dion.
All right, I am going to do the next question. So you all ready? Oh, sorry. For those of you watching on Facebook, the correct answer is 1974. So now for our second question. What is David Dand known as? This was in Noel's deck. Jill. Jill answered correctly. The godfather of Bailey's.
I have to say, I'm super impressed with how fast people can type in these responses.
I was like, as soon as she finishes the question, they're in that chat.
I love it.
Shout out to Jill also, because she was on with us last night and won a gift card to our stores. So she's got fast fingers.
I was going to say, Noel's impressed on how fast everybody can type. I'm impressed when I recognize all the names that have been on here November 2nd. So we appreciate you guys coming back, hanging with us every night and enjoying these great spirits we've been learning a lot about. So I'm going to give you question number 3. Carol Ann, you ready with those eyes on there?
I'm ready.
All right. The very first Bailey's Irish cream was made with which brand of Irish whiskey?
Oh my gosh, the answers.
Oh. All right. Oh my gosh, so many. This one was really quick. Christine, again. With the correct answer, Jameson. So Christine, let me know if you want both prize facts. I will pull an alternate just in case. Okay.
And Facebook viewers, that was the Jameson Irish whiskey brand.
Thank you, Mark. Oh, Christine said that we can give the second prize pack to the second person.
Oh,
So,
how sweet. That is so
Christine?
generous.
Well, you know what, guys? I feel like we should tell you what's in the prize pack, maybe before Christine knows what she's giving away.
Oh.
So Terrence and Doug have put together a great prize pack with some mini Bailey's milk bottles, a Bailey's winter hat, and Bailey's winter gloves. So perfect for the snow that we've got tonight. All right, Christine, last chance. Do you still want to give up your second set? Okay, so the person who answered correctly second, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong, Lokesh. All right, and now it's my turn again. This fourth question, I have two answers that I will accept as the correct answer here.
Oh.
Where is the cream from that is used to make Bailey's?
Oh,
Abby Devlin, correct, Ireland. So I would have accepted Irish Family Farms for that one.
Oh, I love it. Carol Ann, you're very fair. I appreciate that, you know.
Thank you. All right, Mark's going to close out our trivia with the last question.
All right, the final question of the evening, and we always talk about these events again with great spirits, and we always talk about responsibility and hosting responsible and consuming responsible, especially during these times. Everybody's at home, and if you get back to normal and we can get out like we used to, we always talk about making sure you get a good ride home and a responsible designated driver and be responsible all the time. That's what it's all about. So,
Absolutely.
our final question of the evening. How many ounces of Bailey's do you need to make the Bailey's hot chocolate?
Nice segue, Mark.
Cindy has answered, well, I mean, technically you all answered correctly because make it how you like it, but Cindy with 1.5 ounces, which is what we were looking for because that was what was on Noelle's slide. Congratulations, Cindy. All
I
right.
appreciate the enthusiasm. I think we have some questions too that might have come in, Caroline. Do we have time to do those? I would love
yeah.
to. Perfect. Excellent.
all right. So people have plenty of questions.
Oh, yay.
So just a couple of questions that we have from some of the attendees. How long does it keep once you open the Bailey's whiskey?
Yeah, of course. So Bailey's generally will keep about 24 to 30 months. Again, you want to check each bottle, I think, is pretty much the same, although they could be slightly different, but it does tell you on the back that you want to store it between 32 to 77 degrees. So as long as your house, apartment, bar, restaurant, wherever it is not super warm, you can leave it out of the fridge. You can also put it in the fridge if you like to, but opened out of the fridge in those temperatures, it should be good for about 30 months. Yeah.
Okay. And also, is there a particular brand of Irish whiskey that's used to make Bailey's?
So I went to the big wigs today to ask them that question because that's a question that comes up a lot. I didn't get a response yet because everyone's a little busy digging themselves out of the snow. But Bailey's traditionally was founded with Jameson. I can't speak to whether or not that is still what it is made with, but we'll try to get a little more information from the head honchos and let you know about that.
Absolutely. And just a few more questions. We have someone that likes to put coffee ice cubes in their cold brew. And so and an ice cube tray. Like, could you have Bailey's ice cubes?
Interesting. You know, I too love ice cubes, coffee ice cubes. That's a really great question, and I have never tried that. It would have to be something that I would experiment with. My concern would be whiskey doesn't generally freeze, and cream does. And so I'm not sure that that will do exactly what you want it to, but I most certainly encourage you to try it. And I know I'm going to try it now too. So um, don't put a whole tray worth. Don't waste the Baileys just in case. Just start with a cube or two. But yeah, you could try. But generally, liquor doesn't freeze. So it may or may not work. And that is an excellent question. And I'm going to try that when we get off this tonight.
Yes. And I know I saw a question way back before we started the trivia. Someone, when you were pouring the hot chocolate or the
Yes,
espresso or
the espresso.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Is that cold brew or hot, or can you do
Oh,
either?
great question. You could do whatever your heart desires. I actually made my espresso a little earlier before the event. Um, you can do it hot. It's a little easier to work with things when they're not so piping hot.
Mhm.
And especially if you're going to do the version where you pour it over and you let it sit in the fridge, you can certainly use a cold brew. You can certainly do it hot. It's your choice. I tend to just let it get a little bit room temperature before I mix them and pour them over.
Okay. And the last thing, which I feel like we um, probably answered in the presentation, but
Yeah.
the dairy farms, do they practice
Mm.
sustainability?
That is an excellent question, and it is something that I normally look for. Being as they are in Ireland, I don't have a solid answer on that. My gut wants to say that they do,
Mhm.
given how they treat the cows and everything else that goes into it. However, I will, if you want to leave your email or let Carol Ann know when she emails us out tomorrow, remind me of that question and I'll get an answer for you because it's an excellent question, especially in today's day and age. And it's something that I myself often look for. And so I'd be happy to get an answer on that for you.
Awesome. Well, those are all the questions that are in the chat. I'm not sure if you have any questions from Facebook, Carolyn.
So we did have a couple just to kind of close things out.
Yeah.
Mark, everybody on Facebook is wanting Baileys now. So we've done. Everybody wants to drink Baileys tonight, and so people at Facebook are wanting to know which varieties we have in store.
Great
We have
question.
quite a few, but I'm going to let Mark take it away and tell you all the flavors we carry.
Awesome. Yeah. I can tell you that we carry all the products that we carry are currently on sale, which is awesome. So thank you to Noelle and her crew and Doug Wiegand and the group over at Southern Glaciers for getting us some great sale pricing for the holidays. The regular original Irish cream is carried in every single store out there. If you find a store that it's not in, you can call me personally and I will drive there and get you a bottle because it should be in
Aw.
the store that we have out there. We do have the strawberries and cream. We've got the apple pie, which is out there. This is their seasonal item this year. We have the espresso, the almond, the red velvet cake that you mentioned, the salted caramel, and we also have the vanilla cinnamon as well. And I will mention, Noelle's probably going to hang me for this, but we did have pumpkin spice last year. Bailey's did not come out with a pumpkin spice for us for this year, but I will now that
Aw,
I'm on the line. I will put the plug in for next year. So Doug, if you're listening,
perfect.
let's poke the people out there. It's a big flavor up here in New England. I know that, and everybody's looking for it. But I can tell you that red velvet cake and that apple pie are a great seasonal substitution for that. So go out to your local store, go onto our website, liquorandwineoutlets.com, punch in Bailey's. They'll give you the whole list of all the stores. And like I said, they're all on sale. So feel free to buy 2, 3, maybe one of all the flavors and experiment at home because Noelle gave you some great ideas and great recipes tonight. So thank you very much, Noelle.
Of course, my pleasure. And you weren't throwing me under the bus at all. I feel like that's how we get the things that we love in life is that they're put out into the world and people really respond to them. I think that the red velvet cupcake may also have been intended to be a limited time and it's so popular and one of our favorites that it's still around. So you never know what could come back. And it's good to know. It's always good to know what the fan favorites are for sure. Thank you all again for having me. Did we do questions from Facebook already, Carol Ann? Or
Yeah.
oh, perfect, excellent. So thank you, everyone. Again, as Mark pointed out to us, please, as always, when you enjoy Bailey's, drink responsibly. If you're in a winter wonderland as we are, please be safe, please stay warm, and be careful if you're digging your car out like we were earlier. And I hope that you are surrounded by good people and have a happy and healthy new year, which we're all looking forward to.
Absolutely. This has been such a pleasure. It's been so nice to meet so many new people through these different presentations. So again, I just want to say everything that Noelle said. Please drink responsibly, be safe. And if you have any more questions, feel free to either I think is your email in the chat, Noelle, or
Not my email, but
Mine's in
let
there,
me
and
see.
so I can get in
okay.
touch with Noelle and Dion,
Perfect.
Yes.
Terrence,
We'll
Doug.
let
I've got them all on speed dial.
we'll
So if
let
you
Carol
need
Ann be
anything-
the gatekeeper. Exactly. Carol Ann can get in touch with all of us day or night. Baileys or no
Yes.
Baileys, but you want the Baileys.
Those
So
questions that you have, just Carolyn will take care of them. But again, I know 2020 has been one heck of a year, but we thank you guys for taking the time out to join our family and join us and allow us into your homes. So just thank you again, and we hope to see you soon or in the new year. Happy holidays.
Yeah, we hope you ladies can come up the next time we're able to have in-person events, maybe Distillers
Ooh.
Showcase 2021. We can
love
do
it.
a real life treat bar.
That's a dream. Real life. What is that anymore? Yes, please.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's event. So tonight we treated ourselves with Bailey's. Tomorrow we're going to close out the week with bubbles for the holidays. We've got quite a few different sparkling wines on the menu for tomorrow's event. And tomorrow I'll be retiring my virtual background, and I'm going to do tomorrow night's event in front of my Christmas tree. So that'll be fun for you. Get a little sneak peek at some of my ornaments. We've all been hanging out now for a couple of months, so I feel like it's time to show you around my house. So thank you again for joining. If you have any questions, please leave them on Facebook in the comments, or you can email me, and the replay will be available on YouTube as well. So you can leave comments there if you have any after. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you again soon. Good night.